It's the best seat in the house. I am a squash fan because I feel that I was once a player. I experienced what it was like to be refereed. I felt that I had something to offer as a referee and be empathetic to the players on the squash court. So I felt that if I was able to learn the rules and apply the rules in the right way and deliver it in the right way, it would I would be able to encourage and enable players to play a match, a fantastic match, and which is what we're all passionate and want is a fantastic spectacle, and that's what squash is. I just saw it as an opportunity. Now that my playing career was coming to an end, it was an opportunity for me to keep involved in the game. Quite often with a beer in hand, you'd be marking your mates after a match, and I got into it that way. I was of a decent standard, so it'd be Premier League or Division 1 county standard, and that's how I got into it. The club I was at the time was a Bishop Stortford Squash Club, and there was a guy there called William Winter who was one of the members of the club, and he was actually a world grade referee, and he took me to one side one time and said, "Would you like giving it a go, being a referee at one of these events?" I hadn't really considered it or thought about it because being a player and looking up at the referee, they were, in all intents and purposes, at these serious events, they were the enemy. They were the ones that were making decisions that you didn't particularly like. So yeah, I said, yeah, I can give it a go. So I did a rules course, and I was invited to a National League match down at Connaught Squash Club. And a lady organising that, Sue Woodhouse, who was here earlier on this week, was kindly made me feel very welcome at the club, along with other refs, Jill Wood, Dean Clayton and William, and refereed my first match there. And from then on in, I got invited back. It was that was sort of my introduction to it. Once I did that, I then was asked to do some bigger events, some junior events, and I started going to the British Junior Open, which was at the time being held in Sheffield, British Junior Champs, national championships in the early rounds, started travelling the country that way, just cutting my teeth at those sort of events. British Junior Open was a fantastic introduction to refereeing. Days start at 9 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes the days finish after 9 o'clock at night, and you've got 4 or 5 days on the trot. The camaraderie that you have with other referees is great. You build up a lot of friendships as a result of it, and trust and experience. You learn from the other referees, and you also having the opportunity to teach and introduce or reaffirm the rules to the young players, so that they come through and they get to know or get experience of being refereed properly, proper refereeing. So I progressed through that, and as a result of that, I got invited to more events, and in actual fact, I got invited to the Canary Wharf event the very first time it was held here, when it was a trial event, and I was one of 4 referees that was invited to do the early rounds here. So that was this venue here is amazing. It was a fantastic experience. I don't think I'd ever been to Canary Wharf ever before until I got here. So the venue in itself just blows you away. The crowd here is just another experience to have, to learn how to handle, how to be, how to project yourself, but also how to handle being in amongst a crowd that are very loud and passionate about the game. you know, you're marking a match or refereeing a match, and quite often there's about 40 or 50 other referees all in the crowd offering you their decision or tips on how they would have dealt with it. So the difficulty comes is when a player, you give a decision. It's easy to make a decision. There's 3 to choose from, but the problems arise when someone says why, or what's that for. And then that's when you need the skills to be able to let them know your reasons why, and how you're interpreting what's just happened, and explaining to them what you've seen and how you'd like the problem to be resolved. There are times, sometimes it becomes quite challenging when some players don't accept the decision. And it's fortunate we have a code of conduct which we can use to deal with that, which unfortunately I've had to use in the past. It's not a nice thing. Don't enjoy that part of it at all. But there comes a time sometimes when someone confronts or challenges you with their behaviour, and you have to deal with it. So that's hard. That's challenging. So I was invited to that, and then I got started doing a few events on the European tour, European team championships and club championships, and I eventually got a grade, was promoted up to an international grade. So that process probably took me about 7 or 8 years to get to that stage. My first event I got invited to was the World Open in Bermuda. My wife at the time said, I've never been to Bermuda and you're not going without me. So I had to decline that, unfortunately. The next event was I got invited to was Hong Kong, and she said, I've been to Hong Kong, you can go to Hong Kong. So that was in 2008, and I went to Hong Kong for the Hong Kong Open. Fantastic event, great experience, you know, going to a place like Hong Kong. I met other referees from other countries and got to know them, forged friendships, and still to this day in contact with those sort of people that I met there. I ended up refereeing a semi-final between Thierry Loncu and Gregory Gaultier, which Greg won, and then he went on to play Shabana in the final. And it was a fantastic experience for me. That final was played in a shopping mall in Hong Kong. So yeah, I was really lucky, and had a great time.